Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. Today we go to sunny Spain, Barcelona, to radiate generativity with Miriam Subirana, the author of The Joy of Caring, among other books as well. Miriam is the CEO and trainer of Appreciative Inquiry. And tell me again the name of your organization, Miriam.
It's the Institute for Dialogue and Appreciative Inquiry, in Spanish, IDEA, Instituto para Diálogos e Indagación Apreciativa.
I can tell your Spanish accent. Well, welcome, Miriam. It's so good to see you.
Wonderful to be here with you.
And look at your paintings. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. They're gorgeous.
I'm preparing an exhibition. Actually, next week I'm having an opening of an exhibition, and I'm really looking forward to it because it was postponed from last year, and we're still in sort of a half lockdown, but it's going to be an opportunity to meet my friends and family, of course, in small groups and, in different timings. But I'm really looking forward to share all what I've been painting during this lockdown. So here you see a few of my paintings.
Oh, they're beautiful. What's your inspiration for your paintings?
I would say nature and meditation. So on the one hand, nature, the colors of life, green, blue, orange, the movement in nature, the constant change in nature, and then also the experience in meditation of quietness, of being alive, of a silence that is full of trusting, and a silence that it opens up to new horizons.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because I do enjoy the movement, and the colors are just delicious in these
Thank you.
paintings. Of course, we're not here to talk about your paintings, but what a nice treat.
Actually, the cover of my book is also one of my paintings.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Will that be in your exhibition? The original?
The original, actually, I already sold it. So actually, the original will not be in the exhibition.
But you get to show it on your cover, which is The Joy of Caring, Transforming Difficulties into Possibilities. So why caring? Why did you choose this subject to transform difficulties into possibilities?
Because I am a coach, and I've been for over 30 years accompanying people. And in these 36 years in which I am accompanying people, lately I have seen how people don't treat themselves with tenderness, I would say, with delicacy, but being a bit harsh on ourselves. And this being harsh on ourselves, what it means is that it creates caring as a way of doing it out of responsibility and obligation, not out of joy. And sometimes we have a difficulty and we need to care for ourselves. And actually, when I wrote the book, COVID was not even in the horizon, at least not of my writing. But I think it really comes at the appropriate time. And so we feel that out of obligation, we need to care for each other. And we feel that maybe caring is a burden. But at the same time, we are harsh on ourselves. Like you see people going to the gym and doing exercise, and they are very forceful. And I think caring is not out of force, has to come from a space of loving, of joy, of listening, of being open. And sometimes we have difficulties in relationships when we have to take care of someone, and we don't really know how to respond. Let's say someone in your job is ill and or is not feeling well, and sometimes we don't know how to respond, or maybe the father or mother or son of your colleague has died, and what do? We say, oh, it happened to me too. You know, my father also died, or or I also got the flu, or this also happened to me. And so this answering as me too, yes, it happened to me also, doesn't really help the other, because the fact that your father died and my father died, of course, connects us with the fact that both our fathers have died. But your story and my story are different. And so when I answer from, oh, yes, it also happened to me, I'm not allowing you to share completely your story. And actually, I don't know what to say. So this is a way of showing like a bit of solidarity. So this is one of the difficulties we have. How do we respond to someone who is suffering? And in the book, I give different tips, different ideas, different practices of how do you respond when someone is suffering, for example.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. Is that what that you address in different dimensions of caring?
No, the different dimensions of caring are actually connected to the caring for your mind, create beautiful thoughts instead of negative thoughts, caring for your feelings. So you are responsible of how you feel and what you're feeling. So care for those feelings, care for creating positive, generative, beautiful feelings, caring for the body, caring for our spirit, caring for the relationships we have, caring for the space where we are and where we work. So these are the different dimensions of caring. I see the sun is coming. Let me move this. Do you see me better now?
The sun was doing this amazing kind of
Yes, it's
thing.
like, wow, yeah,
That
this is like, yes.
wonderful, yes. But yeah, can't see you quite as well. There we go.
Okay.
Listen, you told me that you overlook the Mediterranean.
Yes.
Hey, that's amazing.
Yes, actually now you see, I see, they say that if the day would be completely clear, we could see Mallorca. But I've never seen Mallorca from here, several miles away, thousands of miles away. But, well, I don't know if thousands, but some miles away. But yes, I can see the horizon, some palm trees, the sea is quiet. So it's nice.
Oh, my heart wants to be there so much.
Welcome. It's a beautiful place. I am in the north of Barcelona, 40 kilometers north from Barcelona.
Oh, lovely. Oh, my gosh. So one of these dimensions that you mentioned was that of caring in relationships. Can you expound on that a little bit?
I think this is one of the most important, because when I give workshops and I ask, what is the moment in which you had the deepest joy. And many times it has to do with relationships or when your first child was born.
Right.
And what is the moment of your deepest suffering? And it also has to do with relationships. You know, someone abandoned you, someone cheated you, someone talked, lie at you or whatever, or did talk ill at your back. So caring relationship, it means that you care to be fully present for the other, but at the same time, you care for the relationship itself. And so, if there's an important conversation, you don't postpone it. You prepare for that conversation. You ask the questions that are important for the person to get to know the person. And sometimes someone is a bit blocked inside. So, what can you ask to help the person open up? And caring for relationship is also being aware that the relationship is like the mirror of myself. And so I get to know myself better in relationship. If I am always alone, I don't see myself in the mirror of the other. I see myself in the mirror that I can have at home. But in the mirror of the other, I see my selfishness. I see that maybe I wasn't polite. I see myself, and then I can adjust. I can transform. And actually, there's a whole chapter on being in relationship in the book, The Joy of Caring. And the idea is, how are you in the relationship? What is your presence? How do you, how would I say, relate to the other from a space of being completely present? And you see, I'm going to read a quote of William Arthur Ward at the beginning of this chapter of being in relationship. We seek to discover the best in others. Now, when we seek to discover the best in others, we somehow bring out the best in ourselves. And so, this is one of the aspects that appreciative inquiry helps us. And I am an appreciative inquiry practitioner, in which when you seek to discover the best in others, not the worst, but the best, then in that paying attention, focusing in the best in you emerges. And this is where generativity plays a good role, in which I generate a space in which the best of you emerges because I inquire about the best of you, and the best in me emerges. So, for example, if I ask you, what have been your best learnings in the past year? When you had to face a difficulty, especially last year, because it's when we experience a lot of changes in our lives due to the pandemic. So, what helped you overcome a difficulty? So I'm not talking about the difficulty. I'm asking about what helped you overcome. So where are your strengths? And being in relationship also has to do with getting to know your strengths and getting to know the strengths of the other, and being able to be caregivers for each other, because in a sense we all need each other, and we need to offer and receive care. So being in relationship is also about being open to receive care, because sometimes we have been brought up in being self-sufficient. And so I don't ask for help because I think I will be seen as a weak person. And so one of the aspects that I write about in the book, is the importance of asking for help and offering help in a concrete way, in a clear way, so that we can really support each other and move on.
Mm-hmm. That is a very good point. I know, we all know people who are going through a difficult time, whether it's cancer or a job loss or the end of a relationship or the death of someone in their families. And we want to help. And so just this art of caring, I think, can let us know, because the person going through this doesn't always know what they need, or they're overwhelmed and they don't want to ask. So can this joy of caring be used to navigate that situation?
Exactly. Yes, you got the point. So in that situation, that the person doesn't know what to ask,
Right.
They are confused.
Right.
They are in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know exactly how to help. Right. So the book gives you different tips, different ways of, for example, being present in a way that you don't need to give advice, because maybe the last thing that the person needs is your advice. They want your love, they want your presence, they want to know that you are there for them. Mm-hmm. And that's enough sometimes. So how to care in a way that you don't burn the relationship in that caring because you suffocate the other by being too protective, or you care the other as if the other is a victim of something. Mm-hmm. And then you feel the savior and you treat the other as, the poor person. He or she's a victim of whatever happened. And that doesn't help to flourish. That doesn't help to allow the best of the self to emerge. Actually, I wrote a book also published by O Books and John Hunt Publisher, which is Flourishing Together. And it's connected to the joy of caring.
Flourishing Together, that sounds wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. Well, in the book, The Joy of Caring, you share that part of caring is to be more creative. Can you tell us more about that? Why creative? How does that relate to being caring?
I think this is a very, very good question. And I also, again, in my book, I share a lot of coming from my experience. And the thing is that people, they feel they have talent, but they have not expressed fully their talent. And so what happens then is that they feel there's a potential within which they haven't fully expressed. Mm. And what in my book I share is about the importance of allowing your creativity to flow. Don't compare yourself with others. Don't try to be a number one artist. Just be yourself, but connect with your potential and let it flow. How? Maybe writing, doing some morning pages writing, maybe drawing. And then you say, I don't know how to draw. Just take a box of colorful pencils and start drawing, whatever emerges. And you don't need to focus in the final product, but in the process. And that process of expression, of expressing yourself, helps you to touch that creative potential inside and allow it to flourish, to emerge in a way that people, when they connect with that creative self, then they are caring for that creative self. And what does it mean to care for the creative self? It means that you are caring for that part in you that wants to be born, that wants to express themselves, that wants to, how would I say, to develop, to move on. And so I find that when people connect with their own creativity, then they are a lot more open to life. And my experience is that some people, they feel that their creativity is not fully expressed. And so there is a certain sadness or a certain emptiness because we are consumers of the creativity of others, but we are not so creative ourselves. And so in the past few years, we have seen a boom of art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy. But not only that, we have seen other ways of developing in which the person can really open up, like with music therapy. And what does it mean? It means that the self needs to heal through creativity. By being creative, you heal a part of yourself that somehow has been repressed.
With the pandemic, a lot of people are struggling, especially with their love lives. Wish you and your partner were growing closer together, both physically and emotionally? Not sure how to talk to your kids about sex? Or perhaps your kid came out to you and you want to educate yourself. Maybe you want to learn more about your erotic energy or how to unlock your wildest fantasies. Then you should listen to Keep Them Coming with Open the Doors Coaching. Host Kristen Thomas is a certified sex coach and clinical sexologist, and her show is full of insightful sexual health information, discussions with community advocates, and a little bit of woo-woo. I was on episode 51 talking about the sacral chakra and the Akashic records. Sex positivity is about more than having sex, and if you want to learn, laugh, cry, and sometimes have your mind blown, then Keep Them Coming with Open the Doors Coaching has you covered. Find this show anywhere you listen to this podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify.
Well, I think even during COVID, during the lockdowns, people discovered ways of passing the time and ways of being where they could be more creative. I'm sure that all of the craft stores did just fine, as did all of the home improvement stores. People were doing home projects and building and creating and taking up knitting and doing all these wonderful things because suddenly they had the time to do so and kind of the space to do so. Being creative, I think, just opens up so many possibilities for you.
Yes, so that's why I included as part of, I would say, of one of the most important aspects of caring for the self. So caring is not only when you are sick or when things are not working. Caring is also to do with allowing what wants to be born in you to be born.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it is literally creating something into existence.
Yes.
Right? Creating something into existence that just began as an idea or a thought. And I always say that creativity is whatever you make it to be. Some people are very creative with a spreadsheet.
Yes, exactly. No, and you can be creating. You can be creative in your relationship with your children.
Absolutely.
You can be creative. You know, there are so many ways of being creative that. But what I find is that many times I give exercises, practices to people so that they, how would I say, they connect with their potential of creativity. I think this is basic, and so some of these practices is, for example, have an artist date a week. It means, how would you call your artistic self, your creative self? So first we get into creating a name of that artistic self, and then out of that we say, okay, so once a week I'm gonna meet with this creative self for 1 hour, and I'm gonna have a conversation or have a walk or connect with that part in me that is creative, because you have to give it time to, you have to dedicate time for it to emerge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. That's a great idea. Just making that time for creativity. And I just had an idea to get together with friends and have our creative evening. That would be fun. It's also enjoyable, right?
Yes.
So I want to shift gears just a little bit about making peace with time, which is a concept in your book, The Joy of Caring.
Yes.
Just tell me more about that, making peace with time and what that looks like.
Yes, because what happens is that I found that many people, the source of their stress or anxiety or even fear is because of how they relate to time. And so, in that relating to time, I advise, for example, instead of making an agenda in which you have one thing after the other, you can leave some spaces for the unexpected, for whatever emerges. Mm-hmm. So that you don't need to rush from one meeting to another. You don't need to go rushing to your next appointment. So just be wise in how you deal with your time, so that actually you do less, but you achieve more because you are more focused, you are more concentrated, you are less stressed. You don't need to apologize that people arrive late to meetings. I know a couple of people that they always arrive late because to be over busy somehow. And they connected to a sign of success, which I don't think it's really a sign of success, but for them somehow it is. And so I think that it is very important that we relate to time from a space of abundance. There is enough time for what is essential. And you just need to focus what is really essential for you and focus in that and let that, emerge in your life in a way that time is a gift and not a pressure. So that's why one of the chapters is connected to how do we relate with time.
Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely. And I do think that time is caring. When someone is chronically late, It's hard to feel like they're taking your time importantly and
Yes.
priority. And I can see that. I can see that. There's also something about the role of acceptance. What is the role of acceptance in the art of caring?
Well, I think that many times we don't agree with something and we don't accept it. And I think we confuse these two terms. One thing is to accept, and the other is to agree. So I don't agree, but I have to accept that this is what's happening, for example. Mm-hmm. And so acceptance means accepting your limits, accepting what's happening, for example, accepting that perhaps things are not going exactly the way you wanted them to go. And acceptance is a way to connect to the present moment and find the greatest power in the present, here and now. So what I mean by being fully present is that if you are fully present, you not only accept and embrace what's happening, but time embraces you. But if you don't accept, then you are fighting against, and somehow you cannot be fully present because you are fighting against something that is happening that you don't accept. And so I think it requires actually a lot of wisdom to accept what's going on and to how would I say, to move on from a space of accepting myself, accepting others, which is not resignation or, okay, I resign. This is like this, so I cannot do anything. So, okay. So, no, it doesn't mean that. It means that when I accept myself fully and I accept that I have this situation in my life, then from this space of acceptance of myself, I'll be able to accept others also in a more joyful way. So I think acceptance requires a lot of wisdom.
I have to say I agree. And in my country, the United States, of course, I find that there is another pandemic, and that is of non-acceptance, right? That it's always been there, racial inacceptance, gender inacceptance, sexual preference. There's so many ways that people can find to not accept others and not accept themselves. I think that there's so much that in themselves they do not accept. Do you also find that this is something of a pandemic? And if so, what can we do about it? How can we heal this lack of acceptance?
This is a very good point, because I think there are other pandemics from which at the moment we don't have a vaccination, and it's a pandemic of unacceptance, lack of acceptance, the pandemic of fear.
Yes.
And so what happens when we are not accepting is that we nurture anger, we nurture mistrust, and we nurture fear. And so what can we do? First, we have to start from what is at our at our capacity, which is to start accepting ourselves and to start accepting what's going on around us, and to treat others really. I mean, that's something I love, that in the essence of all religions and all spiritual paths, there is this treat others as you would like to be treated. And this requires a lot of acceptance, but it's a universal principle. And so, like, for example, you are already spreading, radiating the art of acceptance by allowing me to share about it and by having this conversation. So each one can find different ways in which you can share step by step acceptance. And for those who, let's say, who are leaders and they have jobs to offer, so to be really open and accepting the differences, because I think when we include the different voices, we are then more, how would I say, we are walking the talk. Is that how you say, no? Walking the talk.
Yes. Making your action, having that congruity, your actions.
Yes.
Walk the talk. Absolutely. I think some of it has to do with education. I mean, we can try to legislate these things and create laws that there's, against hate speech and against inequality and things like that. But ultimately, I think it's education and each one teaching one.
Yes.
Do this and practicing this radical acceptance and radical love.
Yes, I like this. Exactly. Radical acceptance and radical love. Exactly. Yes.
That's the title of your next book.
Maybe, yes. I would like to show an image of the books, if you allow me, just for a second.
Absolutely.
Good. So, yes, we've been talking about the book, so I thought I would show, the original of The Joy of Caring es el placer de cuidarnos. Transforma las dificultades en posibilidades. So I wanted to show the original and The Joy of Caring, and then some other books from the same publisher, Flourishing Together, we spoke about. And actually this painting of Flourishing Together I will exhibit in my exhibition.
Wonderful.
And so as you see, all the covers of my books in English have my paintings, which I'm very thankful.
And so I would like to just take a moment for those who are listening as opposed to watching on YouTube. There's the book Live in Freedom, Reflections on Limits, Dreams, and the Essential, wonderful, Dare to Live. Reflections on Fear, Courage, and Wholeness. The Joy of Caring, of course, which we're talking about today, transforming difficulties into possibilities. And you talked about the Spanish version. And then Flourishing Together, Guide to Appreciative Inquiry Coaching. I love this. And From Neediness to Fulfillment, Beyond Relationships of Dependence. Oh, my goodness. Miriam, these are just, it seems like instruction manuals to live more fulfilled life.
Yes. So anyway, thank you for allowing me to share. Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been having many experiences and sharing them with the world so that people can benefit. So my books have been translated in many languages, and so I'm very happy that this wisdom, practical wisdom, can reach many people.
Right, it is very, very, very practical. And then my last question is, you end your book sharing about compassion and contemplation. Can you tell us how that is related to caring and how we can be more compassionate?
Yes, you see, we were talking about acceptance, and actually compassion is the highest way of love, in which you understand where the other is at. You can embrace the other even if you don't understand where the other is at. Maybe you can be aware that the other is having a situation in which he or she is not very polite, or maybe it's not talking in the right way or whatever. But through compassion, and also compassion towards yourself, it's like embracing yourself fully. So I would say acceptance is the first step, and compassion comes after. Once you accept, you can really embrace. And the contemplative way would be to listen from a space of depth, to listen from a space in which your mind is quiet so that there is no extra noise, and you can really listen to the signals that life is giving you. And you can care about that.
That is beautiful, beautiful. And then where can people read The Joy of Caring?
You can find it in the website of O Books and John Publishing.
Yeah, John Hunt Publishing. We'll put those links in the show notes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So those two links, and then of course Amazon also sells it.
Right. Barnes and Noble, all of the booksellers.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
And what is your own website?
My website is miriamsubirana.com.
Wonderful. So we can find
and it's in English and in Spanish, so you can read it in both.
Oh, I love that. And of course, you offer one-on-one coaching.
Yes, I offer coaching, and nowadays I'm offering most of the coaching online.
Of course. Right.
Yes.
Of course. We can find out all about the wonderful work that you're doing. And
thank you.
Other books. Well,
yes.
Miriam, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a pleasure, and I just love that I can speak to somebody who's looking over the Mediterranean right now and maybe can see Mallorca. And it's sunny.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish you so much luck on your exhibition. I know it's going to be wonderful.
Thank you so much, and please inform me when this goes online so that I can also put it in my social media.
I love that. I would appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for sharing the joy of caring.
And now I just wanted to send a shout out to some of our supporters: Julian, John, James, Marissa, Charlotte, Pauline, Becky, and Louise. Thank you all so much for keeping this podcast going. If you'd like to support this podcast too, please hit the like, follow, or subscribe button, or give us 5 stars or a positive review wherever you're listening, and share this with your friends. You can also subscribe to Radiate You, our private Facebook group, for bonus content, including classes and meditations. Another way to support our podcast is to go to radiatewellnesscommunity.com/podcast and click on the Donate Now button. However you support us, we greatly appreciate it, and thanks for listening. Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.